what I would like to do is just discuss, I've got 4 different Gemaras here, and just discuss some things. Maybe I will turn that off. Let's see. Let's just leave this one up here. About the place that he will choose. What is this place that Hashem will choose? King David came along 400 years after we came into Eretz Israel, and he found this place called Yerushalayim. It was originally a place that Avram Avinu had brought Yitzchak on the Akedah in Yerushalayim, on what we would call Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount, the Even Shasir, the stone that the world was created from. It was a place where Yaakov, when he left Israel to go and marry his wives, that he slept, and the stones all came together. It was the place, according to Chazal, where Moshe, when he went running after the sheep and he encountered Hashem, and Hashem said, at the burning bush, remove your shoes, for you are on holy ground, was that place. And it was also the place where, even though the Torah was given on Har Sinai, it says that the Temple Mount, the Even Shasir, was brought to the Jewish people. Hashem held the mountain above them. That point, everything holy. It's a place that Hashem kisses the ground. So I've got 4 Gemaras that discuss various things related to Eretz Israel and to Yerushalayim. The Even Shasir is the foundation stone of the world. It's the point from where the world was created. So in the Gemara in Yuma, on 54b, it says, Tanan command to Amar. We learned in our Mishnah of a view that Mitzion Nivra Ha'olam, the world was created from Tzion. We talk about what were Zionists. What's a Zionist? So let's ignore the modern political secular term for Zion. Tzion is the center of the universe. Zion, that place, is the center of the world. It's the place where Hashem started his creation. According to Gemara, it was taught in a Brisa. Rabbi Eliezer said the world was created from its center. In other words, from this Even Shasir, that Hashem created the world from this point and it spread out. He brings a pasuk to support it. Rabbi Yeshua says the world was created from the 4 sides, from the outside, and it all came inwards. He also brings a pasuk to show it. Rabbi Yitzchak said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, threw a stone into the sea, and from that stone the earth was formed. And he brings a pasuk to prove that. But then the Gemara says, Vayom mitzion miklal yofi. Out of Tzion is consummation of beauty, absolute beauty of Tzion. The beauty of the world comes from Tzion. From the holiest part of the world is where the world is created, where everything comes from. Beauty is from Tzion. And then the Gemara continues on. Rebbe Eliezer Hagadol says, these are the generations of heaven and earth that they were created on the day Hashem made heaven and earth. Generations of heaven and earth were created from the heavens. Generations of the earth were created from the earth. But the Chachamim say these and those were created from Tzion. Everything comes from Tzion. From this, Adam HaRishon was created from the place where Hashem first created the world, being this foundation stone of the world. Hashem took that dirt and created Adam HaRishon and Chava, and that's where it all comes from. Mukhlal Yoifia Shel Olam, from Tzion the beauty of the world was consummated. The world comes from this place called Tzion. That's a Gemara in Yuma. A Gemara in Kiddushin on page 49b says, this is just a phenomenal Gemara. I'm going to go in a little bit more in some of the things that this Gemara says, because it just brings some amazing discussions, not necessarily to be taken literally, but something just food for thought. Let's see what this has got. Okay, we'll leave that for the moment. We'll come back to that, I think, in another Gemara, but let's just see what the Gemara here says. Gemara in Kiddushin. Asara kabim chachma yardu la'olam. 10 measures of wisdom were descended from heaven to the world. Hashem put 10 measures of wisdom into the world. Tisha natzla Eretz Israel. 9 of them Eretz Israel took. Ve'echad kol alam koloi, and the rest went to the rest of the world. And the other one to the rest of the world. So Eretz Israel got 90% of wisdom is found in the land of Israel. It's no wonder that all the yeshivas and kollels and so much learning and so many people are at such a high level of learning. The kids in Eretz Israel, the kids in Yerushalayim, it's incredible what they know. It's absolutely frightening because Eretz Israel itself has this inherent wisdom that you can suck down. The Gemara then says there were 10 Asara Kabim Yoife Yardi Lo'elam, 10 measures of beauty came down to the world, and Tisha Natla Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim took 9 measures of beauty. Yerushalayim is the most beautiful city in the world for different reasons than the beauty of what we saw in the Whitsundays. Yerushalayim's got a spiritual beauty to it that you cannot compare. The rest of the world's got 1. 10 measures of wealth came down in the world, and this is now talking in early times. The Romans took 9 of them. The Americans today would say they've got probably 11 of the 10, 9 of them. 10 measures of poverty came down to the world, and the Babylonians took 9 of them. 10 measures of arrogance came down to the world, and Elam took 9 of them. What does it say about Elam? Elam was an ancient nation that dwelled in what's now the southwestern region of Iran. That's one of the poverty-stricken places, arrogant places in the world. Then a discussion, didn't the Babylonians not take arrogance? The whole discussion of that. And then the Gemara goes on to say, it talks about what do they mean by poverty. We'll just ignore that. The last bits of this Gemara, just fascinating to not dissect and discuss. The commentators don't say much about it. There's no Rashi on the page or Tosfos on the page about these next statements, but it's just something to worth just contemplate. Asara kabim gibura yardi lo'elam. 10 measures of might, of strength came down to the world. Tisha nitzlu, 9 of them were taken Parsim by the Persians. The Persians were a mighty nation. Now, interestingly enough, the Persians took over from the Babylonians. The Babylonians destroyed the first temple. The Persians eventually conquered the whole world. We know Book of Esther that it was Paras and Madai, the Persians and the Medians. And the Persians were eventually the ones that allowed us to go and rebuild the second temple. And so what it's talking about here is the might of the Persians might relate to that. But they are very arrogant, as we learned previously from the Elam, and might of the world came to Persia. Then it says, interestingly, Asara kabim kinim yardi lo'elam, 10 measures of lice descended on the world, and Tisha natlu Madai. Madai took 9 of them. The rest of the world took 1. Now, what that means, there's no notes on here, there's no commentary, I'm not sure. Asara kabim kashafim yardi lo'elam, 10 measures of witchcraft came down to the world, and our friends in Egypt took 9 of them. We know the Egyptian, the sorcerers in Egypt, we know from the story of Yosef, we know the story from Moshe, we all about sorcery in Egypt. The black magic lived in Egypt. That was the center of black magic in the world. 10 Asara kabim, this is now a tie-in back into our Parsha. Asara kabim kashafim yardi lo'elam, 10 measures of witchcraft. Sorry, I did that one already. Asara kabim Nagayim yardi lo'elam, 10 measures of disease came into the world. Tes natlu chazirim, 9 were taken by the pigs. Pigs. That's a tie into our Pasha. The pigs, the animal chazir, took 9 types of disease in the world. The rest of the world got 1. Asara kabim znus yardi lo'elam, 10 measures of promiscuity came down into the world. Tisha natlu arvia, and 9 of them the Arabs took. The Arabians took 9 measures of thing, whatever that means. As I say, I'm not saying any more than that. I'm just telling you what the words of the Gemara are saying. Asara kabim azus yardi lo'elam, 10 measures of brazenness came to the world. Tisha natlu, brazenness. Tisha natlu mishan, and Meishan took 9 of them. Meishan is an island located at the junction of the Euphrates and Tigris River, now southern part of Iraq. Gemara states later, so far as purity of descent is concerned, Meishan is dead, then impure people. Then this is a good one. Again, no comments, please. Asara kabim sicha yardi lo'elam, 10 measures of conversation, of speech descended to the world. Tisha natlu nashim, women took 9.
And a half.
I said no comments. Asara kabim shichrus yardilo elam. 10 measures of drunkenness came into the world. Yeah, don't. The Gemara says, Tisha natlu kushim. The Ethiopians took 9 of them. Asara kabim sheina yardilo elam. 10 measures of sleep came into the world. Sleep. Tisha natlu avadim ve'echad natlu kol alam kula. And slaves took 9 of them. We discussed every, but a slave is generally going to be let's call it the laziest people in the world. But the world, slaves took 9 of the 10. That ends the Gemara. That's that whole Gemara, because the next line in the Gemara is a Mishnah. Go straight to another Mishnah. And so,
what was the first one you said?
About the beauty of the world. Yerushalayim, Eretz Israel took the beauty. Yes, okay. So that's our Gemara about the beauty of Eretz Israel, of Yerushalayim. Next Gemara in Tainis. Gemara in Tainis on page 5a, near the beginning of Tainis. Just a very short Gemara, talks about, I need to find it. Here we go. It talks about the difference between the celestial Yerushalayim, the Yerushalayim Ma'ala, the above Yerushalayim, and Yerushalayim Ma'ata, the lower Yerushalayim. The earthly Yerushalayim is celestial Yerushalayim. And basically the Gemara here just says that Rav Nachman said to Rav Yitzchak, sorry, have I gone too far? Yes, I'll just jump back one little bit. Rav Nachman said to Rav Yitzchak, what's the meaning of that which is written in Hosea, a verse in Hosea? There's something holy in your midst, and I will not enter the city. It says in the prophet of Hosea. Because there is something holy in your midst, that is, perform good deeds, I, talking about Hashem, won't enter in your city. If you're not performing good deeds, Hashem won't be in your city. So Rabbi Yitzchak replied to Rav Nachman, Rabbi Yochanan taught this verse, that the following message, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, the Holy One, blessed is He, said, Lo avo b'Yerushalayim shel mala, I won't enter into the upper Yerushalayim, the celestial Yerushalayim, ad shavo Yerushalayim shel mata, until I enter the earthly Yerushalayim. So Hashem is in exile. Just like we don't have a temple right now, Hashem is not in joy of the temple that He would be in, so to speak, in the upper Yerushalayim. There is a corresponding spiritual and physical in the world. And just because we are no longer in the Yerushalayim, in the temple, as we discussed a few weeks ago about, yes, the city of Jerusalem is the most magnificent city in the world, and yes, it is lively, and yes, there is so much Torah going on there, but it is not Yerushalayim where Hashem's full presence is there. The Shekhinah is not dwelling in Yerushalayim properly. And so therefore, this Gemara is just telling us that Yerushalayim, in heavenly Yerushalayim, is devoid of that same spirituality as the earthly Yerushalayim we have. And final Gemara in Brachos, which really discusses the way we should pray and how our prayers should be. It's Gemara in 30a in Brachos that says, the Mishnah spoke about facing the temple when praying. And so the Gemara says, what about a blind person? One who's unable to figure out which way to pray. They're blind. They don't know where they are. They don't know. They haven't got a compass that they can read. So they don't know which way Yerushalayim is. Then they should direct their heart towards their Father in heaven, because it says, Yizpalu el Hashem, pray towards Hashem. If somebody's standing outside of the land of Israel, direct his heart towards the land of Israel. And brings a pasuk to back that up. If someone's standing in Israel, he should direct his heart towards Yerushalayim. So in other words, every place we daven, wherever we standing, we should always try and face our shuls towards Yerushalayim. So in Melbourne, most shuls face either north or west, because we are pretty much a grid. Really, we should be facing kind of about northwestish. But most shuls will face north or west. Yes, there are a few that are for different reasons, whatever they've built wrong. They don't know, might not have looked at their compass, whatever it was. The architect might have got it wrong, whatever it is. But if you're facing in the wrong direction, what this Gemara is telling us, if you're out of Israel, at least face your heart towards Jerusalem. Focus on I am davening to Hashem through Yerushalayim, because Hashem's presence is in Yerushalayim.
So you say it's northwest Jerusalem.
From here, from where we are, yeah. We're in the southeastern part of the world. So it's northwest. And because it brings a pasuk, if one's standing in Yerushalayim itself, the shuls in Yerushalayim all face towards the Temple Mount, where the temple will please God stand soon. And they'll pray towards the houses. And if one is standing in the temple, he should direct his heart towards the Holy of Holies, which is where Hashem's presence is, which is what this chart is showing. In the world, in Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim, Beis HaMikdash, focus your prayers all the way towards that central point, the place that Hashem will show you. That's really what it's all about. Everything we do should be focused towards Yerushalayim, focused towards the temple, focused towards that Even Josiah, focused towards where we need to be. Because we had Tisha B'Av. And Tisha B'Av, we mourned for Yerushalayim. We went through a process of leading up to Tisha B'Av, as we discussed, the whole mourning process. Yerushalayim is the center of the world. Yerushalayim, as we said, took 10 measures of beauty. I just want to see what else is in this. There is a bond. Hashem said when he destroyed the temple that some of his Shekhinah, some part of Hashem's presence will remain in Yerushalayim, which is why Yerushalayim is the center of the three monotheistic religions in the world, let's call it that, all focused in that area. That's such a high level of tension in Yerushalayim because Hashem's presence is right there. The world is always in balance. Wherever there's good, there's got to be evil opposing it. It has to be in a balance. And Yerushalayim is that place where it all comes kind of crushing together. So we had Tisha B'Av. We went through Tisha B'Av. Last week we had Tu B'Av. In the desert, every year on Tisha B'Av, people would dig their own graves. The men would dig their graves. The women weren't involved. They weren't punished for it. The men would dig their graves, and they would lie in their grave on Tisha B'Av. And the next morning, some would wake up, and others wouldn't. And that's where they were buried. And they did this for 38 years. Came the last year they were in the desert, and they dug their graves. And they woke up on the morning of the 9th, and everybody was still alive. And they thought, well, maybe we've calculated wrong. New moon might have been out, and we did it again on the 10th, and the 11th, and the 12th, and the 13th, and the 14th. When they woke up on the 15th, and they saw that it was a full moon, they realized, oh, we've got it wrong. Tu B'Av is now a joyful day. And for various other reasons, I mentioned Beitar. The city of Beitar was destroyed 60 years or so after the temple was destroyed. Millions of bodies were lined up around the city. The Gemara discusses the wall of bodies around the city of Beitar. And for several years, those bodies didn't decompose. It was an absolute miracle. And I can't recall if it's 3 years or 7 years, the Gemara says they were eventually allowed to bury those bodies. And they buried the bodies who were completely as if they had just died, lying there out in the sun for many, many years on Tu B'Av, on this day. And because of that, the Chazal added the fourth brocha in benching, Hatov HaMeitiv, as a brocha in benching to say thank you to Hashem for giving us this miracle. That's Tu B'Av. That's a day where things turn around, where the month of Av becomes Menachem Av. And we move from this focus of the destruction of Yerushalayim towards rebuilding ourselves. Because once we hit Tu B'Av, we know we've got 2 weeks. In fact, we've got less than 2 weeks now. We've got a week and a half, because in a week and a half's time, it's going to be Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh Elul is coming. It's almost here. On Shabbos, we're going to be doing Rosh Chodesh Elul benching. Rav Yisrael Salanta says he remembered, he lived in mid-1800s, he said he remembers as a child when the Chazan got up and said Rosh Chodesh Elul, there were people in the shul who would faint out of fear from what's coming. Elul's coming. Hashem is so close. And just like Hashem's presence is still in Yerushalayim, Hashem's presence is still with us. And Elul, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says that the king is in the field. Hashem is right there with us. He's there with us. Grab onto him. And so we go through this process of 7 weeks from Tisha B'Av to Rosh Hashanah, through the month, the second half of Av. Av meaning Elul Ba, Elul is coming. And then Elul itself comes, the 4 weeks of Elul. And in those 6 weeks, we can make that connection to Hashem. We can make that connection to Yerushalayim. And we can say to Hashem, we have tried. We've improved ourselves through the mitzvahs of this week's Parsha, through the mitzvahs of improving the way we eat, through the mitzvahs of improving the way we daven, through the mitzvahs of giving more than we would normally give, of helping other people, of doing the right thing. Hashem will bring us closer to that temple. And that sanctity that never left the temple should come back fully, completely. And so that we should be able to say on Rosh Hashanah, and even before Rosh Hashanah, that Hashem's back with us and the temple has been rebuilt.